I always like coming here. It's, you know, as I've said before many times, it's a special place. It makes me happy to be here. You know, I feel very comfortable, but, you know, at the same time, working on a new car and working on making that handle well and like I want to, and also building up the confidence to do what you need to do in a Cup car here. So yeah, it's just a process. We changed the setup a fair amount from yesterday, and it was better. So we used the first couple of runs there in race trim, and then went to qualifying. And you know, I feel like we're on to things, but you know, we haven't quite put it all together. But you know, it's challenging in a Cup car. It's definitely not working towards flat. It's braking, lifting, not lifting all the way. You know, there's a lot more going on. So. But I like being here in general. It's fun for me as the city goes because my family all lives here. So, you know, I've been here since Wednesday doing stuff. So it feels like a lot less work when, you know, you're doing fun things with your family. So.
Good deal. We'll take questions now for Danica. If you have one, raise your hand. State your name, affiliation. We'll start in the back back there with Claire. If we can get her a mic, please. And then we'll come up front.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Sam Hornish said that as opposed to the speeds, which are high in an Indy car, that it makes the hair on his arm stand up more in a stock car going faster. And you're talking about what you need to do in a stock car here. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you know, when you're, is that me? When, you know, I think they're equally challenging. I mean, there's a lot more, when you get flat in an Indy car, it's generally fairly comfortable. But I think building up to that is, you know, grab your gonads and go for it. And I think it's similar in a stock car. I think Newman said, go flat till you see God and then lift. So, you know, that's in a Cup car. So, you know, I think both of them are challenging. I mean, the moments aren't as easy to catch in an open wheel car, but yet you're pushing that limit, and especially with how we trim out for qualifying, you're really pushing the limit. So, you know, I think that once you get to the limit of any car, I think it's challenging for sure. But there's just something about, you know, an open wheel car going that much faster that sometimes gets a little more hairy.
Let's go to David, Alan, and then over to Bruce.
Yeah, David Newton, ESPN.com. When you say you're comfortable here, you say that at Daytona too. Is it comfortable different, or how would you compare the two?
Well, I guess I feel like, and I feel comfortable with speed for sure. I mean, that's not even something I like about racing. Like, it's not like I say I like to go fast. That's not something I'm concerned about or feels uncomfortable for me. So I don't know if that's any different between the drivers, but definitely as far as feeling comfortable at Daytona has to do with how, you know, straightforward the track is. It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple to drive. But I guess I feel comfortable here just because I've been here so many times, and familiarity with the track and just the visual of it is so familiar for me. So I feel comfortable here. It's just a matter of then making the car, you know, and making the car better, which allows me to go faster too. You know, the changes that we made all day today and from yesterday have allowed me to go in deeper and go in deeper and go in deeper. But, you know, it's still a process. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, the only common theme there is a little bit of speed, I guess. But
let's go to Alan, and then to Bruce, and then to Bob. Go ahead.
Alan Cavan, NASCAR.com. In your career, some of the best performances have come in the Indy 500 earlier this year at Daytona, the big spotlight. What do you attribute that to, if anything?
I was going to make some joke that was not appropriate probably, but you know, it's just been a theme with my career that it seems like when the pressure's on, things tend to go better, and I can't explain it. I guess it's just something inside. You know, it's some sort of adrenaline or hormonal change that happens when you know, have the blood pumping and there's pressure on and you're nervous. It obviously does all the right things chemistry-wise to make things go a little bit better. I don't have a full explanation for it. But I'm grateful for it.
Bruce, and then Bob.
Bruce Martin, Race Day on ESPN Radio and Speed Sport Magazine. Even though they're completely different cars, did the 38 laps that you ran here last year in the nationwide race give you a really good idea of what to expect tomorrow?
I'm not gonna lie, I barely remember those 38 laps. I really don't remember much about it. I just remember getting frustrated and, it ending my day. So that's been, and I would say that, not to specifically answer your question, but I think that's been a theme this year too, is when, when things aren't going quite as well as you want it to, your nature, my nature, or one's nature is to try harder and try and get more out of it and push the limit that much further. And it doesn't really, there's very little return on that. So in fact, it causes more problems than anything by a lot. So, I think that's something that I feel like I'm really getting the message, is that you have what you have. And some of the best races I've had this year have been the ones where I just take what the car will give me, and you're patient and you work hard, and if it comes to you, then it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So, I think that's just something I feel like I need to do moving forward. So if there's one thing I remember about the nationwide race here, it's just to not let frustration get to you. And, you hope for the best in the day and you work hard, but, taking yourself out of the game by being frustrated is, that's a complete end.
Let's go with Bob.
Bob Packer, Sporting News. For the Brickyard 400 last year, were you here? And
I was.
You were. Did you feel? Was there a feeling at all of kind of jealousy that you weren't in it compared to maybe some of the other Cup races you had watched? And will tomorrow be any more special than other Cup races?
No, I didn't actually. I felt very satisfied with the progression that I've had through stock cars to get to this point of full-time Sprint Cup. So no, I didn't actually. I kind of felt bored sitting there actually on pit lane because you can't see anything. So, it's, I'm sure there was a better perspective to have than sitting on the pit box. So yeah, that's why I always encourage everyone to get a headset, listen to drivers, get to a place where you can see things, and it helps a lot. So that's kind of what I remember. So I'm sure it will be far more exciting being in the car. But too exciting's not good, so just hopefully more exciting.
Let's go to Dick, and then we'll go to Brant.
Dick Mittman, the 500 newsletter. You came so close to winning the 500 and had some great finishes in your eight races, I think it was. Do you have any regrets about what happened during your period as an IndyCar driver here?
I'm a firm believer that what I did then is what has led me to where I am now, and they all needed to happen. But I think, that first Indy 500, we probably ended with a little more fuel than we thought we had. So I feel like, maybe there was something there that could have been had, but we didn't really know the exact numbers. And, later on, I found that there was, we used different additional systems to know when you were getting to the bottom of the fuel tank, that fuel collectors that I don't know if we had my first year. Maybe we did, I don't know. But in the same, so that's just because it's Indy 500. They're so hard to get. And but it could have turned my career in a whole different direction, and I might not be where I am now, and I'm really happy where I am. So so everything happens for a reason, but those Indy 500 wins are hard to come by. That yellow flag, you know what? That's probably the thing that made me most mad about the first Indy 500 was that there was a wreck off of 4, I think. Can't remember exactly who it was. One of the Japanese drivers. That's about all I can remember. The pace car was going like 45 miles. I mean, it was going so slow, excessively slower than any other yellow flag we had. I couldn't even you couldn't even go slow enough. And they hurried up and made it go green again. And if they'd have just run a normal speed and done the normal thing, then there would have been probably at least another less lap of green flag running. And, so that's the only thing that really made me mad about that race, is it seemed out of the norm what we were doing to hurry up and go back green. And that just didn't seem right to me.
Brant, and then we'll go back in the back row. Go ahead, Brant.
Brant James, ESPN.com. Were there muscle memory things or habits particular to driving here that you had to sort of unlearn when you went from an open wheel car to a nationwide car and then nationwide to a Cup car here?
Well, they sure don't come off the wall quite as far as we did in IndyCar, so I think my nature is to come off the wall a lot further. But I mean, that's pretty simple. I can fix that. No, I mean, I think that it's more about the visual of the line being different in a stock car versus an Indy car. And, you know, I've seen a lot of variation out there between, you know, a traditional or more early entry, really arcing it out entries, and but definitely getting well below the line every single corner is very important. And that's something that, you know, can only happen in an Indy car when you're really hooked up and very comfortable. So, yeah, and you see a lot of people hooking that way and spinning in an Indy car too. So, you know, I suppose that there's that little bit of concern that you're getting too low and it might step out on you, or you might catch a little bit of the curb on the inside. But these are completely different cars, so I think that's something I just have to get over. And you got to get below that white line every corner, and arc it out a little bit more, because the cars don't want to turn. So, you know, the more you can get done as early as possible, the straighter you can be off, and then you carry speed. So it's especially probably important off of 2 and 4, really.
Go ahead, sir, in back row, and we'll come up here.
Danica, whether it's IndyCar or NASCAR, there's always been a great deal of interest in your personal life, and this year perhaps more so than other. How do you keep your concentration and do the work that you need to do this year and still handle all of the inquiries and the interest that both the public and the media have in personal life?
It doesn't really make any difference, because I'm just continuing to live my life. And, you know, it's not like I live it more or less because it's talked about or known about. It's just a little bit more talked about because there's a little bit more of an interest in who the other person is. So a little more relevance to my situation and to all of our situation here in NASCAR and reporting on it. So yeah, and I acknowledge and have before that it's unique and different. And, you know, as I've experienced with being a girl in racing, unique and different tend to draw attention. So.
Let's go here, right here. Go ahead.
Danica, in a series that has 40-some drivers and 30-plus of them are established veterans, some of them brand names, how are you sort of gauging your success as a rookie and trying to break into a series like this?
I think it's, you know, it's important to look at how it's going overall with the team. I think that, you know, we've had some struggles this year, and we're trying to get to grips with the new car. And there are times that, you know, I feel like here where my inexperience with the cars here is definitely hurting me more. I wish that I was better off than I am right now, but we're getting better. It's just that everyone gets better throughout the weekend. So, you know, and then just kind of, I mean, I asked Tony after Loudon how I was doing, and, you know, what does he really expect out of me? I think that's, you know, to some degree, that's the real question is, what are the expectations of me? You think I'm supposed to be top 20 and top 15 all the time, or am I not? And he said that if he saw there being an issue or something that stood out as a problem or an area that I needed to work on, he said, I'd have come to you already, but I don't see it. And whenever I'm behind you, you're doing the right thing. It just, you know, he said, we got to work on the cars and make them better. And, you know, I think you're doing a good job. So, you know, that's the boss. So,
is that kind of hard, knowing that getting a win or even, you know, top 10, those things are just very difficult as a rookie in this kind of a series?
Yeah, I mean, you're competing against a lot of experience and good relationships, team-wise. So, and driver crew chief wise and familiarity, and you know, it's just tough. And I think that, you know, hoping for top 10s and wins all the time is fairly unrealistic. So it doesn't mean it can't happen. I mean, you know, Daytona was the top 10 to start the year off. But I think that it's far more realistic to hope for top 15s and top 20s right now. If there's one thing I've learned, it's about baby steps, and it's about making realistic goals that you can achieve. Otherwise, it's just constantly frustrating because, you know, if you have set a goal of top 20 and you finish there, then, you have something to be happy about. Where if you don't set that goal at all and you're 20th, then you're like, I suck, I'm 20th. You know, you got to set goals along the way, and it's a process, and that's why experience pays off. And for the most part in your whole career, you don't stop learning, and you continue to get better. It's just it's just a little bit more so at the beginning. God, what's going on out there? It's distracting me. I think it's a sign that I should shut up.
We're going to take, let's see, I think 2 more. This gentleman right here, and then the University of Indianapolis. Go ahead.
I know it's not the bagpipes because Dario's not here, so.
Eric Smith, Race View Online. Danica, you came in contact with a lot of legends here, whether it be Bobby, Michael, now Tony. What's the best advice they've given to you about racing here at Indy?
You know, probably the very first year. I don't know if it came from Rutherford or Mears, but it was just that it's a long race, and you know, never give up, and you're never out of it. So, which was the case. You know, I started up front and stalled it, went to the back, came back through, got into the top 10 again, spun, tore the front wing off, pitted, started from the back, and, you know, had a chance to win. So, you know, you're never out of it. It's a long race. So a lot can happen here, and especially being as big a track as it is, as long as the races are here, strategy comes into it, which always throws a huge question mark as to what the outcome will really be and what plays out.
Colin Bowles, WICR. Danica, do you still have the same butterflies that you do if you're going into a 500?
I keep them in my drawer. Wow.
Going into a 500, do you have the same going into this 400?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
With the butterflies of the 500 that I assume come, do you have the same coming into the 400, just the prestige of this track?
I don't know. I haven't done it yet. You only really get to that point once you get to within race day. So, I think that whenever there's a lot of buildup and I always call it pomp and circumstance. There's parades and bands and balloons and, all kinds of stuff going on, special different introductions, things like that. It has a different feel, so, it feels different because it's different. So, I don't think it'll probably be quite as much here for the 400 because I'm not sure if there's quite as much that goes on, although then again, I've never done it. So we'll see.
Final question. We're going to get Holly Kane in. Go ahead, Holly. Front row there.
How's your ankle?
It's a little better. Thank you for asking.
It's good. It's just in a brace now.
Yeah.
I think it looks good.
Sweet.
Thanks, Carrie.
Tan it up.
I just wanted to ask you something kind of based on what you had said before. At one point, you were a rookie in the IndyCar series, and you had to learn and figure out and set expectations. Have you had to go about it differently in NASCAR than you had to in open wheel, your first season? And
Yes, probably to start with. There's so many more cars that if I finish top 20, that meant that I was just in the field in IndyCar. So, there's as far overall results are significantly different for goals, but, probably more so because you get this feeling like you're established and you know what you're doing on some level and you should jump in and be able to do okay. But in IndyCar, I really had no idea at all. I feel like I've had to establish goals far more in NASCAR than in IndyCar, just as far as just having goals. That's all. I think in an IndyCar, it felt like if you have a good day, it's a good day. If you have a bad day, you're in the back and you're 20th. If you have a good day, you're top 5. So it's much more straightforward. Where in NASCAR, there's so many cars and competition level is so high, and there's so much money being spent on so many different things in NASCAR, so it's just feels like you chip away a little more at it than in IndyCar.